as I say. How do you describe a tornado or a phenomenon? But I suppose that's more or less what you'd be trying to do in an hour here, if we were to describe the life of my mother. I would compare her like a good ship. And when I get my glasses, I might be able to launch here. This parable could be interesting, or it could be a total mess, but never mind. We'll go along the course of the ship anyway. She's like a good ship. Mim signed on with Mick Moran in or about the year 1938 in a newly built house at Mill Street, which would later become Hibernia. Together they set course. He the provider, and she the homemaker. A perfect combination for that particular time of the century. Coming back to her date of birth, it's very interesting because there were troubled times in Ireland. In the city of Dublin there were lockouts, there was mass unemployment, so she arrived at a time of disaster. And the full circle has occurred, 100 years, and we're nearly back to that position again. I won't become political on this. Nick was a very quiet man, and he went about his business, and he was a very diligent man, and an extremely good father, and we were very, very lucky to have him. And on this particular day, we'd like to remember him in particular. Very few people in Westport would know that Mick Moran founded the first trade union movement in this town. He established the Amalgamated Woodworkers Union at a time when craftsmen were having a very difficult time. So for that particular reason I'm very proud of him, because he certainly was a socialist anyway. Whatever heed he paid to other politics didn't matter. My mother, I would say about her, she was always resourceful in regard to making ends meet, because at the time you couldn't just throw away something and buy a new item, you had to make it do. In fact, I often think of the programme on Radio Éireann at the time. There was a Peadar O'Connor, and he used to do a programme called Making and Mending. Well, this was the parallel. Our Mim was just that. She made things work, and things weren't easy. And I suppose particularly I remember the snows of 1947, when in fact we were housebound. And my father, I think, was working in Sligo at the time. But with that firewood and one thing or another, we got through, and the snow has disappeared in the month of May, I think it was. She was busy in her home, but she still managed a social life and was extremely active in the Irish Country Women's Association. And very skillful lady, I have to say, in crochet and the arts, the handcrafts, and always very much favoured doing it yourself and discovering it. And I suppose in the family that came down the line as well. She always had a great interest in music and the live theatre. She is still on board anyways, this magnificent ship, and although she is now the only surviving member of her very highly regarded McGrail family, who all came from Westport. In fact, she was born in the shop, which is now SuperValue, in Shop Street. So nobody can doubt her credentials. She is a genuine Covey. And today, although it's a happy day, we should not forget the loss of our two youngest brothers recently, Moran and Desmond. And I can say from my side of view and our family, we are very sorry, and we are still in mourning in a certain way, because they were close to us. And as a boy I grew up, and they were more like elder brothers to me. So I do miss both of those men, and I just think, a few moments today in our thoughts and our celebrations. Well, anyway, to round it up, because I don't want to be long-winded, on her voyage this week anyway, she passed a marker buoy for 100 years. I feel she will continue to sail, and we too with her, to her final destiny. And I would ask you to lift your glasses and drink a toast and to something that's dear to our heart, the Irish language. Gunari and Pauli, agus Sláinte agus Síl. Sláinte agus Síl. So I conclude, and I wish you all, I should have said at the beginning, sorry, thank you all for coming from so far, from Waterford, from the Midlands, the East and the South. It's wonderful to have you all here together, and have a good day, enjoy yourselves, and make merry. Thank you all.